seeing all of you here is a testimony to what Constance meant to all of us. It's said that there is no footprint too small to leave an imprint on this world. And seeing all of you here today coming together to honor Constance's memory is the perfect illustration of this quote. We were privileged to have had Constance and her parents here as part of our school community for about 2 years. We knew her only as a preschooler, and yet she made a lasting impression on all of us. The very first time I met Constance, when she came to tour the preschool with Rachelle, I couldn't help but notice her physical beauty. I know that sounds totally superficial and inappropriate in this day and age of political correctness, but I confess I couldn't help but notice that gorgeous head of dark, thick, lustrous hair, and those extraordinary eyes. But those eyes held so much more than one could possibly digest at first blush. As we got to know Constance, those of us who loved her and were fortunate to have been loved in return came to be able to read so much through those eyes. You know, when people talk about children with autism, they often mention their lack of eye contact. Well, when Constance knew you cared about her and she trusted you in return, she communicated volumes through those eyes. When Constance was here at Cherry, though she understood all that was said to her, her spoken language was still limited. But she could look at you, hold your eye gaze with hers, and express happiness, pleasure, worry, discomfort, and love. You'll notice I didn't mention an emotion like anger, because Constance was truly a happy, easygoing child, eager to explore her world. She absolutely loved preschool and practically everything about it. She loved reading books, and she loved music, which meant that she loved being at Rug for circle time. She loved exploring the toys in the classroom and painting at the easel. She was always open to trying new experiences, and she totally enjoyed snack time. She was happy playing alongside her classmates, and some of her biggest smiles came when she went out on the play lot or entered the gym here. And she loved, loved, loved her teachers. It wasn't unusual to walk in the room and see her cuddled up next to her, giving a teacher or her aide a big hug. Constance was a very smart little girl who learned her ABCs, sign language, and how to read at a young age. She was curious about the world, and she was a hard worker. As much as Constance loved preschool, she loved when it was over too, because that meant that she was reunited with Rachelle. There was no bigger smile or hug than the ones we saw when Rachelle greeted her at the end of the day. We all know that famous saying that children learn what they live. Constance was evidence of the same. She learned to love so early on because she was loved so dearly by her parents and all of us. We are remembered not because of how long we are here, but because of how we make others feel while we're here. Constance made us feel love, and that feeling and her memory will stay with us always. Thank you.
All right, I'm not going to take much time because Rhonda really spoke much of what we wanted to say. So I'm Douma. I was one of Constance's teachers. Michaela is here as well, who was, and I don't know where Michaela is now, but feel free to step up here with me. Unfortunately, Martha and Raina are teaching. Not everybody was here, but when we were asked to think of things and share some memories and everything, Rhonda really did capture much of what we felt as well the second that Constance came into our room, into our life. We start off the school year with a pre-visit where we get information about the kids and we talk about goals and everything, but it didn't take long for us to just realize that what our goal for her was exactly the same what it is for all the children in our classroom, and that's to provide a safe, learning, loving environment where they can just develop and thrive and go home and feel like they've had the best day ever. Constance made that very easy for us because she was open to so many of the activities that we provided. She loved the songs. There's nothing that was more satisfying to us to just see if she was having a hard time getting directed. We just went into our Icky Sticky Bubble Gum, which she absolutely loved, and Michaela would just say, like, can we do that one again? We're like, no, we've got it brought. But her smile, we did everything for her, and it was just seeing her smile was just worth every bit of it. So we felt really, thank you guys for bringing Constance to us. We felt like we learned so much as teachers, as a team, and she really touched our lives in the Red Room. And I just also want to say, again, while she might not have been able to communicate with her friends, she had a love for her peers, and as they did for her, and she was a really, really important part of our Red Room environment.
Hi, I'm Michaela. I wasn't gonna cry, but that's obviously not gonna happen. I was Constance's aide in the Red Room, and everyone talks about how kids on the spectrum are, have difficulty communicating. Well, she did not have any difficulty communicating with me when she needed something, and one thing that she would do is take my head and cheek, and that meant, I really don't want to do what you're making me do. Can we just sit here and be friends? And of course I would say, of course you can stop doing what you But, a lot of kids who are on the autism spectrum don't like to get wet or sticky or have paint on their hands just because the sensory experience is really unpleasant. And Constance did not like glue, which is not unusual, but she would always cooperate when I asked her to do it. A lot of kids don't cooperate, even though you ask them, and she would come to the table and she communicated without her words how much she hated it. And then when she was finished, she would sit there like this until I came up and, took the glue off. But my point is just that she was able to connect with me on a really deep level, and she was a beautiful girl. And another thing I want to say is that when I worked at Cherry for 10 years, I met hundreds of parents of typical kids, developing kids, and special needs kids. And there's only a handful of parents, like Rachelle and Mark, that you can say they are doing everything with every ounce of their soul to help their child be the best that she can be and reach her fullest potential. That's everything that they work for, and it was so obvious from the first day that they came into our classroom that it was really an honor that they were entrusting their beloved daughter to us. So that's what I really want everyone to take away from this, is that she touched a lot of lives, even though she might not have been as verbal as other kids. Thank you.
I know you did. I know, she loves you too. Thank you. Thanks. I'll trade you 131 for a quick one. Thank you. Many of you know that Constance had a service animal. This is my service friend, Debbie. Debbie's twins were friends of Constance's and played with her and invited her to parties, and Debbie's been a great friend and a great support to me. And unlike me, she's good at public speaking, so I've brought her here as my designated hitter to be my backup. So thank you for being here, Debbie, and thank you to everybody in the Cherry community for your love and support. Constance was a happy child. It brought me incredible joy to have her as my daughter. When she turned 18 months old, I found a great local preschool to enroll her in. When we met with the school's administrators and teachers, it seemed like a good fit. After Constance's first day at that school, she was expelled for being insubordinate. I was shocked. How could anyone be more subordinate than an 18-month-old? As a result, I ended up calling and emailing every preschool close to my home in Highland Park. When none of them would take Constance, I continued to expand my search. It is hard to explain the soul-crushing rejection that one experiences when their child is rejected from preschool. Still, I kept calling. Constance was an only child, and she needed the opportunity to play with other children. I couldn't fathom waiting until she was in kindergarten for her to get that opportunity. Eventually, I found Cherry Preschool. Cherry Preschool has a unique inclusion program where children who need extra help in the classroom get their own specially trained aide, Michaela. These aides are provided at no charge to the special needs parents. As the other children in the class are typically developing peers, this allows the children with special needs to have role models for typical play. It also allows the neurotypical children to learn the value of diversity and inclusion firsthand. Aides and therapy for children with special needs are exceptionally expensive. In addition, in most families with a child with special needs, at least one parent needs to give up their career to manage the child's care. This means that special needs families have fewer resources but more financial demands. Going into our first meeting with Cherry Preschool, I understand the uniqueness of the opportunity and its exceptional importance in Constance's development. On our way to the school, I tried to calculate the exact right amount of apple juice to give Constance so that she would seem excited to be there, but not stemming the entire time. The only day in my life where I was more nerve-wracking was, besides the first day at Cherry, was the day of Constance's birth. When we arrived, Rhonda Cohen, Cherry's Child Development and Inclusion Director, gave us a tour. Rhonda then took us to the gym, which you're all in right now, where she watched Constance play with figurines from a dollhouse. Rhonda noticed Constance's sophisticated play and said she was confident Constance would thrive at Cherry. As delighted as I was that Constance was accepted at Cherry, I was nervous of the history repeating itself and Constance being expelled. However, Constance had years of success at Cherry Preschool. Whatever challenges Constance had, Cherry's educational team strategized ways to help her succeed. Rhonda donated her time to help me and many other special needs parents navigate the confusing world of public education and therapy. Rhonda recommended that I enroll Constance in an ABA therapy program. Rhonda was there to teach me and hundreds of other special needs parents how to advocate for our children in a world that isn't as accepting and loving as Cherry Preschool. Thank you. She's a very good friend. Constance loved Cherry. She made friends with her classmates and she played with them outside the school. She also adored her teachers. One of her teachers, B, who you met earlier, and I actually had a meeting which was on the topic of how many hugs was too many hugs for Constance to solicit in one day. While at Cherry, Constance learned so much. One of my favorite things she learned was how to stand in line and take turns. Each year on December 25th, we would take Constance to a local indoor water park. There, she would patiently wait her turn before going down the slide, and I would think, thank God for Cherry Preschool. No one knew Constance would only have 8 years to use all that she learned at Cherry. Since her passing, there have been few decisions about her life I haven't second-guessed. However, one decision I can reflect on happily was her time at Cherry Preschool. Cherry Preschool isn't special because they made early childhood education work for Constance. Cherry is special because they make it work for thousands of children regardless of their abilities, interests, backgrounds, or ability to pay. A special thank you to those of you who have given to Cherry Preschool in Constance's memory this year. Thank you. It means a great deal to me and to the kids at Cherry. Those of you who know me know that I'm infamous for being rejected by ATMs on 3 different continents. One's fortune tends to be limited when one chooses a career in the nonprofit sector. I know we all have different means, but I hope that you will make whatever space you can to remember Constance and Cherry Preschool in your annual charitable giving, so that we can continue to offer an exceptional education for all children. Thank you so much for being here today and for remembering Constance. It means the world to me. Thank you.
So if everybody would like to just get some refreshments and mingle. Thank you all again for coming.